Over the years here at GTN, we have been fortunate to have chatted with many of the world's top pro triathletes about their training and their racing. So today we decided we'd collate a number of tips from some of the fastest athletes in the water from both short course and long course triathlon racing to help you improve your swimming. Now, one of the most important aspects of being able to cope with the open water environment is having a swim stroke with a higher cadence or a higher turnover. So I went and spoke to one of the fastest swimmers in the women's field, at least, Lucy Charles, for her thoughts on this higher stroke rate and how she uses it in her training.
For triathlon and open water swimming, a high cadence stroke rate often works a lot better. And I'm fairly lucky in that even when I was a pool swimmer, I had quite a high cadence stroke rate, where if you compare me to my other half Reese, he had quite a long, slow stroke rate. And he was always much faster than me in the pool, but when we went over to open water, he often struggled. So he's actually had to adapt his stroke rate now to a high cadence, especially for open water.
So what is it that you kind of need that high cadence for?
Particularly if it's really choppy in the water, it actually helps a lot more to have high cadence because you can not fight with the waves, you actually can get through them and it works a lot better.
Because I guess the water's moving, so you've got more chance of catching a stroke.
Yeah, I mean, like we talked about earlier, the catch, if you've got a good catch and a high cadence stroke rate, you will really work with the waves and move through the water that much better.
Is there anything you do in training to help that, or perhaps Reese is trying to implement in his training?
Yeah, I mean, often you can actually do sort of, I'd say, do half a length sprinting, but you're actually exaggerating that high cadence stroke rate. So you're doing it way more than you would, but you're going, over and above. And if you can do that, then when you're kind of doing high cadence but not exaggerated, it feels more normal.
So bring on those windmill arms.
Yeah.
Now, triathletes are well known for their love of toys and equipment, particularly so in the swimming pool. And having led out of the water at the Ironman World Championships, Josh Amberger certainly knows how to make his time in the water count. So he explained to us actually what his go-to training aid is, or his toy, and why it is, and how he uses it to help avoid some bad habits.
Get used to equipment aids, let's call it. So for me, everyone hates them or loves to hate them, but floaty shorts, I really love them. I find that they're a fantastic training tool. Training for an Ironman, you're pretty much always under very heavy bike and run load, and generally as a triathlete, you're always tired. So every time you jump into the pool, you're not going to feel 100%. And I feel that having a lot of buoyancy through the hips, and it's obviously helping you lift your legs up and improve your body position. So sometimes that it can feel a lot easier, but it's also avoiding getting into bad habits if you're going to the pool always tired but expecting to try and improve your swim at the same time. So for me, little aids like that can really help your feeling in the swim and avoid you getting into bad technical habits.
I guess it's important not to rely on them at the same time, so I guess you mix it up, right?
Yeah, so you don't want to go do some dive hundreds with your float shorts on and go, oh damn, I'm swimming fast, I'm doing like 105s, 100, but then you take them, you're not getting the times when you take them off, so which is probably about 5 seconds slower, to be honest. So yeah, don't let it build your confidence, but just use it as like a complementary tool.
Heather also picked some equipment pointers from ITU swim star Richard Varga, who explained how he uses the pool buoy band and paddles to add some variation to his swim sessions.
So for me, it's really good to swim with the band and with the pool buoy. That I think that's naturally is helping you to have a higher cadence. Otherwise, you're going sink down. So that's I think the my best for the open water in the pool exercise and drill. I'm trying to be as much have the variation. So I'm using like a pull buoy, sometimes without pull buoy, sometimes I'm using the parachute. So it's changing my position, but I'm still trying to hold strong core and to be as high as possible. So I stimulate the very different positions. So in a race, sometimes like, as you said, in a swim wetsuit or in a sea, you have different buoyancy, so you have to be prepared and you have to feel it.
And let's return to Lucy Charles, as she's highlighted another fundamental skill for the open water, and that is bilateral breathing. Such a useful skill, particularly in terms of spatial awareness when you've got other swimmers swimming around amongst you.
Okay, so my next tip is bilateral breathing, which basically means being able to breathe to both sides. And when I was a swimmer, I actually only breathed to the right-hand side because I was a lot faster like that. And when I moved into triathlon, I actually found I had a lot of issues and some injuries from bike and run because I was so imbalanced from only rotating to that direction. So in that respect, I would definitely say you should bilateral breathe. But also in open water, you need to see what is going on both sides of you. So yeah, I definitely say get in the pool and breathe to both sides.
So when you're swimming in the open water, if someone approached on your left-hand side, you switch and start breathing so you could see them?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously, I've had to work on breathing that way as well because I'm much more efficient breathing to the right. So, but obviously, if you say there's someone coming up on your left and you don't look that way, you're not going to know they're there. You're not going to make use of drafting from them or anything like that. So, yeah, you want to know what's going on either side.
So, how have you helped to, improve that breathing in your training?
So when I'm swimming like the warm-up or swimming slowly, I'll make sure I'm bilateral breathing, or even make sure I'm actually breathing to the weaker side, so I'm getting stronger that way. But I still tend to revert back to breathing to the other side.
Because I guess it's quite hard to implement it in the middle of a hard session, because, you're trying to work really hard. You're going to opt for your preferred option there, aren't you?
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I've got that competitive nature as well, that if I'm getting left behind on a set with these faster swimmers because I'm breathing to my weaker side, then I'm going to revert back to breathing on my
So on the
side.
easy parts, the warm downs, the recoveries, that's the good.
Yeah, I mean, for myself, I would almost call it like a rehab because I'm strengthening the other side by breathing the other way. So whenever it's easy stuff, I definitely make sure I'm bilateral breathing.
Now, the physical aspect of swimming amongst others in an open water environment is unavoidable, but Richard Varga also explains how he has implemented some drills into his training to help him adapt.
I asked the boys to draft me on my hips or on my legs or beat me up from one side and another side. So
this is a good tip here. Yeah. Get your friends to beat you up.
Yeah, for 1 hour, and also you can get used to it.
This is in the pool. You practice swimming with people on your hips.
Yes. We sometimes do like 100 or 200 reps where when one guy is in your hip and then you switch off, so you're doing a couple of these and one is resting, one is going hard. Yeah,
because I think people often think, oh, we need to practice drafting on someone's hips, but actually you do in a race have them on your hips too, so I guess it's good to practice in both ways.
Well, following on from those, Josh also gave me some insight into some techniques and drills that you can use within your swimming to help improve your drafting abilities, which are pretty key to open water swimming.
It is very important as a triathlete to get used to people being around you in the water. So it happens to pros, happens to amateurs, but you jump in the water with a bunch of other people, you can't control their movements, and all of a sudden you feel really anxious about getting pulled over, pulled under, and just generally getting hassled, and it's always going to affect you if you're not comfortable being around people. So I've been working with helping my partner Ashley Gentle try and develop some drafting techniques for her ITU races, and it's going to be something as simple. You can start with something as simple as doing, say, 100 or 200 repeats and it's just like, just stay on the feet for as long as possible. I've found that sometimes people who have anxiety around being very close to someone in the water and drafting and touching them is, you got to give them like little tasks to do during the swim to kind of take their mind off what they're actually doing. So earlier in the year, I found this worked really well, where Ash has the ability to stay on my feet, but she's nervous about being around someone. So I tell her that every lap of the pool, she had to touch my feet 3 times. And that meant that she had to, at speed, be swimming as hard as she could, but she's thinking more about touching my feet 3 times than about what's around her and what's making her feel uncomfortable in that environment. So I found, yeah, just developing like some little techniques like that can really help you be comfortable around people in the open water, and it's working on your drafting skills at the same time, which is in this game critical to be able to sit in a pack and not get spat out all the time.
Well, hopefully you've enjoyed those tips from some of the pros, and they will help you to improve your swimming skills into the future. If you've got any other queries or things that you're struggling with, let us know in the comments section below, and we'll try to address that and make a video in due course to help you out. If you have enjoyed today's video, make sure you give this a like, a big thumbs up, and don't forget you can follow GTN on social media.